Open, and now I'm in a very bad mood, so I'm in the mood for a rant, and I'm going to rant about the reasons why I stopped selling Infusionsoft and why I will no longer sell Infusionsoft ever again, and why I stopped recommending it flat out, and now I'm recommending people leave Infusionsoft for an alternative platform. I'm going to divide this into three main sections. There's sort of the customer experience, there's the software experience, so the sort of the actual experience of using it, and then we have the true cost of Infusionsoft and how much it really costs. And it's a lot more than the ticket price, let's put it that way. Firstly, there's the customer experience, starting with the sales experience. When you're buying Infusionsoft, you speak to sales reps at Infusionsoft, and to say they have no integrity is a bit of an understatement. They will tell you anything that you need to hear in order for them to get the sale. They don't really care at all, and this is obviously not everyone there, but as a general rule, they don't really care if the software is appropriate for you, provided that they hit their sales target, and refunds next month doesn't count them from them hitting their target previous month. So they have nothing to lose by selling as many apps as possible to whoever will pay, regardless of whether or not it's even close to being appropriate for them. In the old agency, we had a contract with them where we were a preferred partner in what was called the ICOP program, so the Infusionsoft Kickstart Outsource program, where we did the onboarding, which is the Kickstart training that you pay for when you buy Infusionsoft from them directly. It was outsourced to us for Australians and sort of weird time zone people. And the number of times out of the roughly 1,000 Kickstarts that we delivered, I probably told about 50 that they should not have Infusionsoft at all, go back and get your money back. Which, 5% should never have bought this rate is, in my opinion, very, very high. I don't think anyone should ever be sold something that is not appropriate for them, especially when the person selling it knows. So to say that Infusionsoft will never honestly assess whether or not their platform is right for you before taking your money, they will take anyone's money. Which leads me on to cancellations. It's the worst of all software companies that I know. When you try and cancel Infusionsoft, they will refer you onto, I can't remember what they call them, but it's basically the offboarding team where they attempt to save you from cancelling. Regardless, even if you were the kind of person who never should have bought it in the first place, it's not an easy transaction to cancel. You go to an offboarding team, which, because these guys are busy, it'll be 3, 4, 5 weeks before you actually have that appointment. And then they'll do everything within their power to stop you from cancelling, offer a ton of stuff to stop you from cancelling, and basically it's the same experience as the sales, where they will tell you anything you need to hear in order for you to say, okay, I'll stay. Which is just as bad. They do not want you to cancel. They do not want you to get your money back. Getting them a refund that you may be owed is like getting blood from a stone. It's, in my opinion, it may actually be criminal, but it should be criminal if it's not. It's appalling when you try and cancel Infusionsoft. Every single time we've had a client that wanted to cancel, my recommendation has always been cancel it, but then just go and cancel your credit card, because they're going to keep billing you. And all this process of the offboarding, when they get handed off to someone who's supposed to save you, they don't pause your subscription, so they'll keep billing you. And if you cross over a billing date after you've requested to cancel, they'll still charge you, and they don't give you that money back. It may be multiple weeks before they actually let you cancel. It's the worst software cancellation experience, flat out. I don't see how they could possibly make it worse. Actually, I have no idea how it could be worse. It's like when you sign up to a fake guru course and you actually want your money back, and you look at their very weird phrase refund policy and find out that actually no one is entitled to their 30-day money back guarantee. It's the same. It's the same as that. It's that level of deception and dishonesty. The software experience. Now, when we first started selling Infusionsoft and recommending it and implementing it into more than 1,000 small businesses, it was brilliant. It was first in class. But that was 2014, and today, what's now called Keap Max Classic, is exactly the same as it was, give or take like a couple of things. It's exactly the same as it was 5 years ago, which of course means that it is no longer first in class and has been eclipsed by its competition to a ridiculous degree. Their email deliverability is appalling. Now, as we're speaking now, they have had a problem where their Infusion links domain, all of the tracking links for Infusionsoft are infusion-links.com / tracking link codes, and that domain has been blacklisted by Spamhaus again. I think it's the third time this year they've been blacklisted, and we're only in February. Wow. Third time this year. And it's been blacklisted now for more than 2 weeks. For this, what this means is that anyone, any @me, so Apple, Gmail, Hotmail, or Yahoo, are flat out just not receiving those emails. And this is an email platform. Infusionsoft is an email marketing platform first and foremost. So the fact that their emails aren't being delivered to what is basically every single email address, like Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, and Apple.me, they, @me, that's pretty much every single email address there is. And so if you're doing B2C, you have no hope in hell at the moment of getting any communications to your customers. And this is a recurring problem as well. It's not a once-off. It's not an isolated incident. This is, the third time it's happened so far this year. And it's been 2 weeks. It is unbelievable how bad their email deliverability really is. And they lie about it. They claim to have one of the best in class, and they do not. We've done experiments with clients where I've taken their entire list, put it into WordPress, delivering emails via Mailgun, and deliverability has been excellent. From Infusionsoft, it's appalling. So the deliverability is very, very bad. And forgetting everything else I just said, that alone is enough to not recommend Infusionsoft, because it is primarily an email marketing platform. Their sales pipeline feature called Opportunities is, 5 years ago it was extremely outdated. Today it hasn't changed. And so it is just way beyond outdated. If we compare it to even a simple system like Pipedrive, it is way behind. And it doesn't fully integrate with their campaign builder, which is their sort of flagship feature that is really worth having. And so as a sales platform, it's really not great. It used to be okay. 10 years ago it was great. 5 years ago it was okay, sort of tolerable. Today it is just unacceptable how it has not changed at all, basically for 10 years. It's embarrassing, actually. When they're running updates for the software, we used to have this recurring issue where apps would slow down in Australia because they were doing updates in Phoenix time zone, nighttime, which is daytime here, when their customers in Australia are using it. And that's thousands and thousands of businesses that rely on Infusionsoft for their day-to-day operations. And it was creeping to a halt where it just wouldn't work. And they didn't listen to us. They didn't really believe us. They said, no, it's not impacting it at all. And they said they couldn't separate the apps into different servers and do updates differently. It just wasn't possible, and that, it's fine. It was basically the response. It wasn't until they started coming out here to do training when the trainers were like, holy shit, this is terrible. Like, why is it so slow? I'm like, it's always like this on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. Always. And that's when they're running the updates. A little bit later on, they all of a sudden magically had made it possible that that you could in fact separate apps onto different servers for different areas, different regions of the world, which they previously said was impossible. Whatever. I get that these things are hard, but that one really should have been dealt with better. But still, the updates that were happening were slowing down the apps in Australia. So when America was updating, it slowed down in Australia still. That's a really big issue, and you'll basically lose operations for a day every single time they run an update on the app, which actually blissfully is not very often, although that's not a good thing in itself. They don't actually update the software very often. They will sort of patch bugs, and that brings me into this next point of they now have Keap, and I think Keap Pro, and now Keap Max Classic, which is Infusionsoft, and they're not very good at maintaining software. They've historically been very poor at it. Now they have 2 platforms to maintain, not just the one. And the development pace for Infusionsoft, which is already poor, is now basically 0. And when you compare them to systems that were comparable 5 years ago, those ones have gone up and up and up and up and continued to develop and iterate and improve, and Infusionsoft has stayed exactly the same, which is a huge shame, because it used to be amazing. Payments. Payments in Infusionsoft is a pain in the butt, especially with subscriptions. There are things like when a card is expiring, they don't attempt to charge the card if a card has expired, but they also don't notify you that no attempt was made. It just doesn't happen. So you don't know how many of your customers haven't actually paid because their cards have expired. And the reporting in Infusionsoft is so poor, it is essentially impossible to find out this information. Usually we discover it by accident looking for something else. And typically when you try and cancel a subscription of your own customers, if you're billing them with Infusionsoft, it doesn't actually cancel, and it will charge them again. And it's just a pain in the butt when you have to then issue refunds and apologies because the system just doesn't do what it was supposed to do. And then there's Infusionsoft payments. A few years ago, Infusionsoft partnered with WePay, which is like the B2B version of, it's a B2B white label version of Stripe. And instead of implementing Stripe into their own platform, they wanted to call it Infusionsoft payments so they could collect a share of the transaction revenue. It makes good business sense, but it also makes very poor business sense because their customers wanted Stripe, because all their customers are small businesses. Like, just use Stripe. It makes more sense than anything else because they're already using Stripe for other things. But they refused to until very recently, where they made Stripe a payment option in Infusionsoft. And it took years of customer pressure for that to happen because they wanted their share of that 2% of transaction revenue. And it kind of just tells you their attitude towards their customers is that it's all about Infusionsoft first, customer second. Despite what they say, what they do, and what they say do not match. Then there's the actual true cost of Infusionsoft. You need a lot of stuff to make Infusionsoft really do what you would expect it to just do. Because Infusionsoft's form builder is atrocious, you have to use, if you're using WordPress, something like Gravity Forms, which is not free. The Infusionsoft landing page builder is currently not working with the WordPress integration, and so you will need a non-Infusionsoft solution to landing pages. The list goes on, and I'm going to go inside now and pull up that list so you can see the actual true cost of Infusionsoft. Okay, we're back inside to look at the true cost of Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft by itself doesn't do everything that you need it to do. Neither does HubSpot, but I just want to do those as a comparison because I think that they are the closest competitors to each other, one of which I think is significantly superior, which is, guessing by the title of this video, not Infusionsoft. You need a lot of shit for Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft at the low end is about $400-ish, $400 to $500 a month. The pricing varies wildly, and you may be lucky and get a good deal and get it for less for a period of time. But generally speaking, it's $400 to $600 a month, shall we say. If you want social media publishing, which you probably do, Infusionsoft won't help with that, so you need something for that. The landing page builder in Infusionsoft is piss poor, and unless you're really competent with this sort of thing, so competent with WordPress, I should say, you'll need something that's easier to use than WordPress to build landing pages, and that would be like lead pages or ClickFunnels. Good grief, I wouldn't recommend ClickFunnels unless you're a con man, but ClickFunnels is a better landing page builder than Infusionsoft is. To fix the email deliverability, you need something called WeDeliver. And it amazes me that there is an industry of add-ons that fix problems with Infusionsoft, and people pay extra to fix the problems with Infusionsoft rather than just leave. And it's only because the cost of leaving and the difficulty of leaving is quite high, and so they stay and they put up with the pain. But WeDeliver by itself could easily be $300 a month. So now Infusionsoft is like $900 a month at the top end. Just Infusionsoft and just the add-on you need to make its emails actually be delivered. And it's not an elegant solution. It's a solution, but it requires configuration and constant maintenance, and the chance that you will miss the changes that you need to do to make it work are very, very high. So it's a pain in the ass. Reporting in Infusionsoft is crap, so you'll need a reporting add-on. And that reporting add-on ranges between $100 and $1,000 a month, depending on the reports that you want. It ain't cheap. The order forms in Infusionsoft are crap. And even though they are now technically mobile responsive, they're still butt ugly. And so you'll definitely want to change that, which means either if you are very competent with WordPress, you could use WordPress. If you're not, Spiffy is the best one. And that, I believe, is about $30 US. So you're talking like 45 to 50 Australian dollars each month. Then there's something called FortiPay, which is an invoicing solution for Infusionsoft, because invoicing in Infusionsoft is crap. And so that's another $30 a month. Appointment settings. So people generally, and this is an automation I recommend for absolutely everybody, is automating the booking of appointments. And Infusionsoft doesn't do that. So you need something called Appointment Core or something similar, and that's $30 a month per user, I believe. There's just this never-ending list of add-ons for Infusionsoft just to make it work. And so the true cost of Infusionsoft will lie, depending on what you need, somewhere between $1,300 and $3,000 per month. Per month, okay? Unless you are very, very tech competent and know exactly what you want and have time to figure out the software, I strongly recommend you work with a partner, purely because you will get a faster return on your investment. And as we've seen, like $3,000 a month is a lot to be paying to have a return delayed by 3 or 4 or 6, 7, 8, 9 months while you figure it out. So I strongly recommend you always work with a partner. HubSpot is exactly the same, so that's they're level pegging on that. Costs will be roughly the same. But when you look at the actual cost of the software of HubSpot, and this is very, very different. Ultimately, HubSpot ranges up to $1,900 a month. You need almost 0 add-ons for it. I think the only thing that's missing from HubSpot is SMS. And that would be an additional $47 a month for inbound add-ons. Shout out Sam Alford. And so the true cost of HubSpot, if you're at on the pro tier of HubSpot, where you get this is the Mac Daddy, you get all the features and they're all fantastic, is a ceiling of $1,951 a month. So potentially it is $1,000 a month cheaper than Infusionsoft because the true cost of Infusionsoft is that much higher. The sales experience and the sort of customer experience used to be bad, but not a deal breaker. Like, it's annoying that they sell people that they shouldn't to, but ultimately, eventually, that person will get their money back. The cancellation process was atrocious, but people that get into Infusionsoft are in it for the long term because it's a bit of a pig to set up. So the cancellation process being bad, not enough to say don't use it. Just be aware of the problem. And when you want to cancel and move on to a different system, you're just going to have to cancel your bank card. It's basically what we told people, and that's still true now. None of these things were a deal breaker, but when you now combine that with the fact that the software hasn't changed for years and is still it's lagging so far behind its competition, all of these things add up to me saying, like, do not, under any circumstances, buy Infusionsoft. It will be an experience of pure frustration, cost, and ultimately no return. And that's really all I have. Please don't buy Infusionsoft. Look at something else instead. And oh yeah, like and subscribe. That's what I'm supposed to say now. Like and subscribe. Share this with people who are considering Infusionsoft. Sign up to my newsletter on my website, jakelennis.com. Anything else to pitch? No, I'm out. I'm going to go make a cup of tea. Thank you for watching.